I think we're on. We are live. Awesome.
Yay.
Hey, welcome. So excited to see you. This is the very first episode of ManyCam and Me.
Oh,
I got a special guest. This is teacher Melissa, and we're going to chat about ManyCam. We are both ManyCam users, so we're going to chat about ManyCam and Me. Hey, Melissa, do you want to tell about yourself? Welcome.
hi, everyone. So I am a VIPKid teacher. I've been a VIPKid teacher for 3.5 years, but I didn't use ManyCam at the beginning. I think about maybe a year and a half, 2 years in, I felt like I needed to mix it up, so started using ManyCam with VIPKid. But I also use it with, I teach now for Splash Learn and OutSchool as well. So I use it for both of those platforms too.
Awesome. Welcome. So happy to have you. Melissa is an admin of a really friendly VIP Kid teacher group. If you're looking for a group to join
Yes.
with questions and tips, it's called VIP Kid Friends. Super easy to find. So, oh, she's got it on there. Awesome. It's funny when you're this little half screen on the
Yeah.
StreamYard, it makes your view. I'm so glad that this is not how big of a space we have in our online teaching classroom
Yeah.
with our students. It's very shrimpy. So, welcome. If you're here, we'd love to hear from you in the chat. Awesome. I see someone just said hello. Hello to a Facebook user
Yay.
friend. If you have any questions about ManyCam, please pop them in the chat box. Questions for Melissa or questions for I. So let's get started, Melissa.
Okay.
Can you tell me about your device and using ManyCam? What specs do you have? What computer setup do you have?
So right now I have a really awesome computer. I do just want to say that it wasn't always that way. I used to have a Dell that was just like an i5 processor, maybe 8 GB. But and it worked fine, for a while I could do the basics in ManyCam. But when I started to want to use like extras, Google Slides, videos, green screen, and also started doing those other platforms, I purposely bought a device that could handle ManyCam and everything I wanted to do. So right now I have a all-in-one Dell computer and Inspiron 5477. But the really great thing about it is it's 1 TB. And it's 32 GB, and it's an i8 processor.
Whoa, better than me, girl. Wow. Super fab. That is a great computer.
Yeah, so it works great. I take screenshots. I haven't deleted any screenshots that I've taken in a year. I am able to open all of my Google Slides at one time and leave them open, instead of just opening one at a time. Like my computer's able to handle that with the app. So not necessary, but nice.
Yeah, a terabyte is a huge amount of storage. So that's a big, big space. I have a little external drive that has a terabyte on it, but to have it on your own computer, that's awesome. I don't think I have even that much storage. So tell me about your screen. Just questions about are you a 2-screen user, a 1-screen user? What's your monitor size?
So I'm not. I have a 28-inch monitor.
Wow.
And that's what it is. Like, that's how big it is. Twice the size. Maybe not quite, but I feel like it's twice the size of what my laptop screen was previously. And so I just use that. And right now I use the camera that came with it. I do have an external camera, but this one works fine. I mean, I think, it was a year. It's a year this month. It's a year this month. So far this camera has worked fine. And I worry about 2 screens because I worry about where I'm going to be looking. I worry about kind of disengaging and looking at a different screen. So I make things smaller, and I did this with the laptop too. I minimize the screen that I'm teaching on, and then have the ManyCam screen and anything else that I'm trying to screen share as well. So typically I try to have like 4 squares, but that's what I do.
You got plenty of real
My
estate.
preference. Yeah.
That's a lot of real estate. That's awesome. Mine's a 19, so I can't imagine having that much extra space. Hey, tell me about your connection and internet. What do you do to keep a stable class set up in your online teaching? You coach, you're always online teaching, a professional online teacher. So how do you do that with the internet? Tell us your tricks.
So I'm a professional teacher online, but I also have 3 teens, 2 of which are professional video game players on their computer. So we actually have 2 lines that come into our house, 2 fiber optic lines. They're
Wow.
both from AT&T. The kids is not as awesome as mine. Mine will handle up to 1,000 Mbps, but theirs is almost, I think there's like 750. But we just have them going to different sides of the house, and my router's right there, and it's hardwired into the back of my computer. And I learned the hard way that's important. Even before having the fiber optic line from AT&T, I didn't start out being hardwired in with Ethernet. So when I'm mock coaching, when I'm talking to those applicants, I'm like, even if you don't get it right now, put it on your bucket list, because that's how you ensure you have a stable connection. Like when 100,000 teachers might be teaching classes, you want to make sure your classroom is good. You keep your students, and that's how you're going to do that. And it's especially important adding, while ManyCam adds so much to your classroom, you need to be able to support that. So
Definitely. Awesome. Let's say hi to some folks in the chat. Patricia's
oh,
here.
yay!
Hello. And this says she's Casey. Casey says it's Casey. Hi, Casey. So glad to have
Hi.
you. Awesome. Okay, Melissa, can you tell me about your concerns? Did you have any concerns getting started with ManyCam before you started? Were there any fears or worries you had?
Yeah, so I think I was just a teacher, right? Just a teacher, a plain Jane teacher who really had become dependent on props, 2D props and toys I stole from my children. So I did worry about ManyCam sort of taking away from my authentic teaching with props. And I worried a little bit about the technology. Like there is a learning curve. Like if you've never done anything like this, and VIPKID is like so nice. That's where I started, but it's all set up for you, right? It's like enter the platform. Here's your curriculum, turn your camera on. And that's really like the baseline of what you have to do. So you have to learn ManyCam. There's a learning curve. And then you kind of have to learn to use it with your teaching style and personality. I feel like research is important. Not every teacher uses it the same way. So you need to find out what works best for you.
Definitely. Awesome. Have you ever had a ManyCam fail? And if you did, how did you solve the problem?
Yeah, so I've had 2 ManyCam fails. One of them is just technical. If I leave ManyCam open overnight on my computer or leave my camera open, my first or second class, it's going to freeze and shut down. I think my tip there is to stay calm. If you're calm, the student will stay calm, even if they're saying, I can't see you. And just switch to that internal camera or that, the other camera. And even if you can't use ManyCam the rest of the class, it's more important for you to be there offering a good class. So there's been times when I started a class in ManyCam and had to finish, without all my bells and whistles, right? There's also been times when I couldn't get the integrated camera, would it separate from ManyCam? So I had to jump to iPad. So definitely get a second device. I always recommend an iPad. And the other one that I do like to mention is making sure you know your customers, right? In any online platform, OutSchool, GoGoKid, Splash Learn, VIPKid, know what your customers like, because I did have about 4 months ago, I got an email from VIPKid, and it was called an offline parent request, and they were asking me not to use ManyCam because it was distracting to their student. This was a new student to me, so I had it. There was no Google Slides, there was no green screen. I just used like objects and stars in my video feed, but it was too much for that parent. It was an offline parent request, so it wasn't negative feedback. It didn't affect my record. It's not showing in my feedback tab. But you have to be willing to adapt. And I figured out that I needed to kind of read my students, read my families. So there are some regulars, like Hanson. that I've taught 200 classes, he'll just flat out tell me he doesn't like green screen. He wants my real background. And so, like for him, I know real background and ManyCam stars are okay. But then I have Sunny who wants it all, right? She wants the spinning stars and the green screen. So you kind of have to adapt to the customers that you're building as well.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite ManyCam moment with any of your students that you want to share?
Yeah, I want to share about the Bitmoji stars. I actually shared this on your Facebook page for ManyCam Kindergarten. But I had a Bitmoji, like I had the app on the phone, and then I took Amanda's Bitmoji course, do it. And I figured out that there's this extension and you can make, things in Canva to add into ManyCam, just like rocked my world. So I figured out how to make a star with a teacher, Melissa, like Bitmoji in it. And I used it one day with Hanson. And he was, he thought that was really cool. It was something new. You teach a kid 200 classes, you're looking for something new, right? And he asked if I could do stars with him. And so because of everything that I had learned in your course, I was able to then, create Hanson in my app, download it on my computer. And so the next class we had, it was time to give him a star. And this is a 12-year-old kid who loves basketball and getting Nike shoes, but I threw up that star with, that looked like him. And he just, this big smile, loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a huge ManyCam moment. I put in the chat box the Bitmoji class if you're interested in taking it. I'm running it again this week. It will be Sunday at 4:00 Pacific time and Tuesday at 6 in the morning Pacific time if you want to come sign up and take it with me. So awesome. Yeah. Hey, what is your most used tool in ManyCam tools? What could you have to have every day and never leave behind?
The stars.
Oh, stars.
Awesome. And I had a hard time kind of thinking of the answer to this one, but I would say the stars, because even if you have a kid that isn't interested in stars so much, they might be interested in stars if you can pop up, a spinning gold star, right? They might be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Or even just giving them a choice of what stars they want. It solves a lot of issues with some of these companies that require rewards, right? You can, this is a reward. You get a star, it's visible, it's in the classroom.
It's take it away. That's
visible
easy.
Reward there, So definitely, and that's how I started. I didn't start with green screen. I didn't start with Google Slides. I started with, I'm going to learn how to put a star. And I didn't even put 5. Like when I first started, I didn't know I could control copy that star. So it was like, I put one star up and I took it away and I put one up. So I just think that's part of me. I've had friends of students come and they know that like the older students, level 3 and up, I'll say, which star do you like? And I'll put up 3 stars and they'll tell me 1, 2, or 3. And they know that's going to happen because their friend that I also teach says, oh, she gives you a choice of these really cool stars. So it's become part of my, I don't know, teacher persona that I have these sort of digital stars.
That's awesome. So don't leave the stars behind. That's your number one tool. Yeah. Awesome. For me, I would say it would be the zoom and the color feature. I really adjust my camera feed to zoom in and out and change my colors a bit, brighten up to make my lighting like pretend that would be what I couldn't leave behind because I use that all the time. That's not funny. In the setup, that's my most used.
Oh, I getcha.
Do you use Google Slides?
I do. I do use Google Slides. I find that it can be very helpful. I use them smaller, I think, than what I see a lot of teachers do. I just have the like screen in screen. I stay big in my classroom and I show small, similar to if I was going to hold up a flashcard, like
more
this.
Like flashcard style. Awesome.
But I do, and I find that that's valuable. When I want to do rewards, though, I'll make the reward bigger. With Google Slides.
Awesome. What feature of ManyCam could you not live without? So the feature being like, would you want to be able to green screen? Could you live without? What can't you live without?
What can't I live without? So I'm going to say the whiteboard. Is that the
Oh,
kind of feature we're talking
yeah,
about?
yeah, yeah.
Like being able to write. I rarely actually pick up a really like a whiteboard. I always just kind of throw this up. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is a smaller screen. But we are, I throw up this, it's white, and I'm able to type sentences on there, or steps, or, whatever I can to help my students type words that they're going to need help with after reading. But yeah, this has definitely replaced the actual three-dimensional whiteboard in my class now.
Awesome. Awesome. Patricia's here in the chat. She has a question, a real beginner question. How do I access the ManyCam in the VIPKID app? Do you want to answer that?
Oh, well, so if you have it downloaded and you have your video open in ManyCam, when you enter into the VIPKID classroom or practice room, go to the practice room first. You are actually able to choose it. Click your camera and settings, and then you'll see a list come up, and ManyCam will be a choice that you can pick, and then it opens ManyCam in the classroom.
Awesome. That's be
Yeah.
what I would say too. My tech tip for that is I go in before class. As
Mm-hmm.
soon as the countdown is 10 minutes before the first class, I go in, I use that little gear, I select ManyCam, check my headphones, and I check that I can hear myself with
Yeah.
a little sound check, and then I exit class so that I've already got everything set. So yes, Rebecca, you can just select it with that gear, just like, or Patricia, just like Melissa said,
Yeah.
you can
Use
get
the
it right
gear.
from there. So
Yeah.
awesome. Hey, I
So it
put in
should
the
just be
chat
a choice.
too.
Yeah.
I put
Oh,
in the
so
chat a group to help. It's ManyCam Kindergarten, my Facebook group. So join that group. We'll help answer any
yeah.
questions and give you screenshots. So awesome. Okay, two more questions. What
Yeah.
advice would you give people getting started with ManyCam? You said a little advice at the beginning. What advice would you give?
Well, I would say don't be afraid to do it and start slowly. Always my advice. I don't think I could say that enough. Start slowly. Figure out how to put one star up, or get one digital prop per class and pop it up and down, or maybe what you do is find a border, but I would find one preloaded object and use it in one, in a class each morning. And then once you're comfortable with that, add something else. Just don't feel like you have to jump in with the green screen. I had minicam for a year before I even got a green screen.
Me too. Me too. I didn't start any of the jazzy fancy stuff I do now till
Mm-mm.
much, much later. So awesome. Okay, last question, Melissa. Anything else you'd like to add?
Um, Yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend it. I have gotten more out of minicam than I thought I was going to. Like when I initially signed up, got it, I actually used the free version for a while. So you can definitely do that. I mean, speaking of starting slow, download the free version. Search star, find a star you like, use that star in every class. See what you think, see what your students think, see how your computer handles it, right? I think that having the technology is really important, and so kind of starting slow, practicing slowly to see what your device can handle, and also just what you can handle, right? You're going to become a very distracted teacher if you're trying to green screen and share Google Slides and do stars and teach that new student. That I feel like that's just way too much at once. So just go
Definitely.
step by step.
Definitely. Rebecca says, yes, start slow and learn a little bit each month. There are a ton of options and it can be overwhelming.
Yes.
Absolutely. Rebecca also says her favorite feature is that you can share two cameras at once. So if you're watching this video with me, we could see both of those cameras on both sides. So it's awesome that we can see both of those at once. Oh, did I lose Melissa? Hey, this is the group. It's linked in the chat, ManyCam Kindergarten group. So I'm so excited. Melissa did a really wonderful job in her first ManyCam and Me interview. These will happen every Friday at 10 o'clock Pacific time, which is 1 Eastern time. I'd love to see you again. Thanks so much. Big cheers to Melissa. She was a great guest for our first ManyCam and Me. I hope to see you again next time. Thanks everyone who came in the chat, and we'll see you soon. Melissa has a little error. So, Melissa, we lost you, but no worries. We got you. Thanks so much, Melissa, for being a wonderful guest. See you next time.